मंगलम भगवान वीरो मंगलम गौतम प्रभु।
ॐ नमो अरिहन्ताणं नमो सिद्धाणं नमो आयर्याणं नमो वचायाणं नमो लोये सवसाहूणम्।
Jai Jinendra and welcome to Mangalam. Today we bring to you a very special presentation. Jaina made history on April 17th when, as a religious organization, we were invited to meet with Pope Benedict XVI on his recent US visit. This was a very prestigious and an historical milestone for us as a community and as a group. I was fortunate to be part of this group. Today, we bring to you glimpses of this event. We also have with us in our studio Mr. Arvind Vora, who was the key person behind the success of this event. He is the chairman of the Interfaith Committee of China. So here he is. Welcome to Mangalam, Mr. Vora. With this landmark success, what do you think, how this event came about and what was the procedure involved?
Mamta Ben, it's such a joyous feeling to be part of such a historical event that many of us would have never dreamed, and it's unprecedented in many different ways for Jain community in North America, that is in United States of America and Canada. When I received the first invitations on February 19th, I was just dumbstruck that how this happened, and looking back I can see many of our Jain community members in our area, particularly New York metropolitan area, starting where I was here first, Jain Society of Long Island in mid-70s, then Jain Center of Americas in mid-80s, then founding of the Jaina organizations, and particularly more important for me was involvement since its inception, Long Island Multi-Faith Forum in 1994, that brought me closer to the mainstream faith, Christianity, Judaism, and of course big religion like Islam and Baha'i, Buddhism, Hinduism, Native American, and our faith like Brahma Kumaris and Soyinad people. I must say one thing, that my involvement in interfaith activities, particularly in Long Island and New York City with Auburn Theological Seminary, Temple of Understanding, Religion for Peace, had attracted mainstream people to find out more about our belief, and in those days very few people knew anything about Jainism, and I think I consider myself very fortunate that I was instrumental in making many people aware about Jainism, and this is the ultimate recognitions we can have from the most powerful faith in North America as well as in Europe, Christianity, particularly the dominant portion of Christianity, Roman Catholicism.
Tell us, what is the perception of Jain religion by the Western faiths like Judeo-Christian and Islamic faiths, and how does this differ from the Eastern faiths like Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism?
From my perspective, Jain faith is exceptionally well received by all what we combine as Abrahamic faith, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Most of them were not exposed to Jainism, and starting with a clean slate and we trying our best to explain fundamental principle, they realize that it does make sense, particularly the multiplicity of viewpoint, anekantvad, because that is the root cause of violence. When we refuse to understand other people's viewpoint, confrontations, argument leading to the violence, ultimately war, and those things happen. So non-violence, I like to emphasize anekantvad first, and they seem to agree. Even if you read in New York Times, they will say this person has said so, this person has said, as opposed to saying somebody's opinion, their own. As far as other Eastern faith, Sikhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, even though many of them have origin in India, and even though there are some similarities, obviously there are differences in each one, and they are very curious, very inquisitive, and very receptive of their philosophical differences in faith and religion. One thing in our Long Island Multi-Faith Forum, for educational purposes, we try to avoid comparisons, better than, superior than, smarter than, greater than, older than. So I like to personally avoid comparing one with the other, but each one has the uniqueness, and Western people are very receptive, particularly schools where we go, they are very receptive of our faith. And Jainism, the first biggest hurdle for us is to convey people that there is a faith, and my goal is simply that as long as people start to learn that there is faith called Jain, then they can Google and find more things. So that's where I start with step one.
Being invited by the religious leader of the largest religion in the world to be an equal partner in the quest for the peace, how do you think as a community we can take this further?
The important thing is that these are symbolic things. We have to make symbolic gesture into practical, concrete, achievable action that we all can see happen. For example, last year we had Christian people celebrate Mahavir Jayanti in Christian church, and they are going to celebrate again at different Christian church this Sunday. What are the chances of Jain temple celebrating Easter Mass in any of our temple or upasaraya or places of worship? I think that we educated people appreciate the difference of tolerance, understanding, and acceptability. If Christian people are celebrating our most important holiday in their church among themselves, inviting us as observer participants, that is one of the greatest achievement we can credit to this multi-faith, interfaith, and our principle of anekantvad. Similarly, every Jain, no matter how small the community they are, throughout North America, whether it's in Idaho or whether it's in Alberta in Canada, they all can be part of the community, be part of the society, and I'm 100% convinced that mainstream people over here are very, very eager. In fact, they are very thirsty to adopt the best of Eastern philosophy and what they have been brought up.
For your tax-free donations, suggestions, and comments, please visit mangalamshow.com. Tell us, how is our community involved with the interfaith activities, and what needs to be done more?
Interfaith work has been done for many, many years by many Jains throughout North America. Only recently it has been made in a very systematic fashion. For example, Naresh Jain is very active in New Jersey area, as well as he is holding very important position for the upcoming Parliament of World Religion in Australia. We have Hema Pokhrana in Chicago. She has been holding many important seminars and promoting Jainism's ahimsa and non-violence. Every year she has big seminars in Pune in India where people from all over the world comes. We have Prakash Modi in Toronto, Canada. He started the new things over there, which is Canada is a little more receptive than America. Chaplaincy service, so that our people, when they are at unusual places, they have the strength of spiritual things. We have both past president of Jaina, Kirit Daptari, is now involved with United Nations with Anuvibha North America, and Anup Vora is involved in upstate New York. Anup Vora has, as many of you know, is very much involved in interfaith activities now, and we are going to take this next step further, is involving every Jain in North America, and we are hoping with the blessing of Pope and United States Conference of Catholic Bishops to have the continuous ongoing involvement and dialogue with all the Jains, regardless whether it's one Jain in one little parish of Roman Catholicism or the big one like in Manhattan with St. Patrick's Cathedral. But we are going to put everything in together. We are going to seek the help of intern to prepare the position paper, and we will move on this forward. And I hope all you listeners, whether you are Jain or not, it is very important that we have accepted these nations and they have accepted us, and let's have the best of East and West and synergize and create what we call Ram Rajya, heaven for all of us.
As the chairperson of the Interfaith Committee, would you please tell us what are the future goals of your committee?
Future goals of Interfaith Committee of Jaina is simply to make sure the way Mamta Ben, with your help, my help, and many of us on Long Island, almost half the population out of 2.5 million now know that there is a faith called Jain. There is no reason why entire populations of North America, in United States and Canada, starting from the school-age children, would not know all our Eastern faith, and for us particularly Jain faith. With that ultimate goal, we have certain ideas how to go about it. Many of us have achieved quite a bit, and we like to give back to the community, and we are going to approach each one of you possible that how you can help us, and particularly starting with the education project, and on the other side starting with two Christian groups. One is Council of Churches of America, which takes care of almost all Protestant faith, and United States Conference of Catholic Bishops that will take care of the other significant portion of Christianity. Having dialogue with both of them simultaneously, we will realize the differences within the Christianities the same way we have accepted the differences among us Jains, whether it's Sthanakvasi, Dhiravasi, and Digambar and other branches. It's very interesting to enlighten ourselves, enriching ourselves, and passing on our knowledge to the upcoming generation. Fundamentally, in one word, there is no reason why everyone should not be proud to call themselves Jain, and there is no reason why every Jain should hesitate to not adventure by making everyone in North America aware of our beautiful heritage of our Jain faith.
Welcome back to Mangalam. Today we present to you a beautiful dance by youngsters from New York who had presented this performance during the Pratistha Mahotsav. Please enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Today in Youth Corner, we bring you the views of our youngsters who had attended the last YJ convention. As you know, we have the next YJ convention right around the corner, and we would like more and more youngsters to come and attend. So please listen to what these youngsters have to say about the convention and the religion in general. Thank you.
मङ्गलाणं च सौवेसिं पठमं हवै मङ्गलम्. Hi, could you please introduce yourself?
My name is Puneet Shah. I'm 22 years old. I just finished up college.
Okay.
Live in Dallas, Texas.
Do you have plans for the coming years?
Yeah, I'm about to start at a consulting firm out in Dallas. So I'll be busy doing IT consulting.
Great. What do you find most interesting and beneficial about Jainism?
I think one of the most interesting things is the ability for Jainism to allow for different beliefs and for its ability to look at different things in different perspectives. I think that it's a religion that can be applied towards your everyday life in the sense that, you know, it is a philosophy, as many people probably have mentioned. And its foundation as a philosophy really helps people to relate to it, because when you have these principles of nonviolence and these principles of open-mindedness and tolerance, you start to see things in a different light, and that's, I think, valuable on a day-to-day basis, especially in, you know, the current climate of the world we live in.
Great. So along those lines, how do you believe Jainism can influence American culture?
I think that Jainism can have a huge impact on American culture. I think primarily it has to occur on an individual level. The people who follow the Jain traditions need to recognize that their obligation is to be the best Jain that they can be and to practice the principles. And I think that once, as on an individual level, we recognize that capacity, I think then people will start to look at our individual attributes and see it for what it is. The fact that, you know, we have a religion that's dedicated towards nonviolence and bringing peace in this world, and I think that that's something that is sometimes overlooked in American culture, and I think that we can bring that to American culture on a personal and individual level.
Thank you. And finally, what is your biggest challenge in living a Jain way of life, if you do have any challenges?
Mm-hmm. I think the biggest challenge is facing ethical dilemmas on a day-to-day basis. Mm-hmm. We basically have a lot of decisions to make in life and a lot of opportunities to make a good decision or a bad decision. And I think that following Jain principles is sometimes hard because they are very demanding. And so making those decisions on a day-to-day basis, am I going to approach things in a way that Jainism would look at as positive and, you know, helping in terms of balancing out karma and all that kind of stuff? Or, you know, am I going to make decisions that'll ultimately be detrimental to my welfare in the future? And I think that those individual decisions that we make are the most challenging part in recognizing whether they follow Jain principles.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Rupesh Shah. I'm from Austin, Texas, and I'm a third year at the University of Texas at Austin, majoring in chemical engineering.
Do you find time to practice Jainism now that you're in college?
Not as much as I should, but I try my best. You know, it's more like when you wake up in the morning and you're just kind of laying in bed, so, you know, or before I go to bed, I try to do the Nokar Mantra and stuff like that, and more of my daily life of how I conduct myself in a daily manner.
How do you deal with the college environment? For example, alcohol on campus, drama with other individuals, and relationships?
You know, it's kind of tough with a lot of the peer pressure, I guess. You know, I came from, the high school I went to was predominantly white, so I've always been around that, you know, the non-Indian environment. And so growing up, my parents kind of instilled that in me, you know, that we're very different, you know, our ideals are different. And so through, you know, monthly religious attendings, you know, like the Jaina meetings and stuff like that, you know, I've grown pretty strong in my beliefs. So it hasn't really been that big of a problem.
What do you find most interesting about Jainism?
I think the thing that interests me the most, and it's kind of stuck with me since I was a kid too, is the whole karma theory. And I always notice it, whenever I do either a good thing or a bad thing, I always feel it comes back, in some shape or form.
Okay, and how would you see Jainism playing a role in your life maybe 10 or 15 years down the road?
I think in 10 to 15 years, the way I see it having impact in my life is more of the daily life, the principles, the ideals from it on how I can conduct my life and how I would raise my family and my kids.
And how would that be?
Like I said, the whole karma theory, what you do is good will come back to, and what you do is bad will also come back. And also the whole spirituality, and it's more of a self spirit, you do what you choose, and also the vegetarianism. I think I'm very big on being vegetarian. I've been brought up like that, and I think it's important not to kill the animals.
Okay. And how do you believe Jainism can influence American culture at large?
I guess the whole motif would be the whole karma theory. I think a lot of times Americans in general forget their roots or how to live their lives. They get too involved in money, and there's a lot of corruption, and they don't live very moral lives.
So do you think Jainism can positively influence that?
I think so, because I know a lot of them would have trouble believing in the gods and the deities, but the whole spirituality of it and how to live your life, I think they can take that from it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today. Please come back next week again when we bring you another episode of Mangalam. Please write to us at mangalamshow@gmail.com. Please visit our website at www.mangalamshow.com. Until next time, Jai Jinendra.